Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Ring Rumble, your home for latest wrestling news and breakdowns. And today we dive deep into a moment that unfolded in one of the darkest corners of WWE Raw. A moment that didn't involve fists flying or bodies colliding, but instead something far more powerful, a refusal, a silence that echoed louder than any backstage brawl. Picture it, a dim corridor tucked behind the chaos of Monday Night Raw. The kind of place where careers change course with a single whisper, where alliances break with a single decision, and where the atmosphere thickens so heavily that the rest of the locker room can feel a shift before it even becomes public. On this particular night, all signs pointed toward a confrontation brewing between Bron Breakker, the volatile powerhouse with ambition burning through every move he makes, and CM Punk, a man whose legacy is so deeply carved into wrestling history that even a whisper of his name can shake arenas. Punk stood for fight, resilience, and defiance, and in the corridor that night, he represented a force that couldn't be easily shaken. Breakker, on the other hand, was rising fast, fueled by power, youth, and the dangerous confidence of someone backed by Paul Heyman's ever-calculating guidance. But lurking just behind Breakker, almost hidden in the shadows like a dormant weapon waiting to be deployed, stood Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, a man whose presence alone can tilt an entire WWE segment into fear or chaos. He wasn't roaring, he wasn't pacing, he wasn't preparing an ambush. He was simply there, a looming question mark in human form. Heyman, known for orchestrating shocks and manipulating outcomes, approached Lesnar with an offer before the Breakker-Punk confrontation. The favor he asked seemed simple on the surface, but carried enormous implications beneath. Back Breakker lent the Vision faction the brute strength of the most dominant force in modern wrestling history and helped secure an advantage over Punk. Given Heyman's long history with Lesnar, the request made perfect sense, almost felt predictable. Heyman has always seen Lesnar not just as a performer, but as a weapon, a strategic nuke dropped only when absolutely necessary. So to ask Lesnar for support during a rising faction conflict wasn't out of character in the slightest. But what stunned everyone wasn't the request, it was the response. Lesnar refused. No verbal outburst, no violent retaliation, no symbolic destruction of set equipment, no trademark smirk, no nod. Just a cold, motionless silence that sent shockwaves through those who caught wind of it. That non-action became an action, a refusal that overshadowed what could have been a monstrous sneak attack. Fans didn't explode because Lesnar fought for Breakker. They exploded because he didn't. The question raced across social media and locker room discussions instantly. Why didn't the Beast obey the call of his old advocate? What does this silence say about the shifting power hierarchy in WWE? And perhaps more importantly, what doors does this moment open for future arcs? Stepping back to frame where WWE stands in 2025, the answer becomes far more layered. The company has been delivering one of the most unpredictable runs in years. The faction landscape has exploded with new alliances, betrayals, and experiments, and at the center of it is Paul Heyman's newest creation, the Vision. This rising faction, built on the muscle of Bron Breakker, the mass of Bronson Reed, and the strategic brilliance of Heyman, has skyrocketed in influence over the last year. Their dominance has grown through ambushes, psychological warfare, and moments that have shaken pillars of WWE storytelling. Alongside this, Brock Lesnar's shocking return at the 2025 SummerSlam injected a massive unpredictability into the product. After years away, fans expected him to bulldoze into major storylines instantly, especially now that Heyman and Lesnar were reunited in what many expected to be a return to their chaotic golden era. Add CM Punk's simmering feuds, the Vision's rising aggression, and numerous shifting backstage alliances, and the stage was set for something massive, either a full-scale implosion or a mega push. Against that backdrop, Heyman's request and Lesnar's refusal take on far more significance. According to backstage whispers and internal reports, the exchange went something like this. Heyman approached Lesnar with a strategic pitch. Back Breakker in the Punk confrontation. Help the Vision tilt things decisively. Re-establish dominance. On paper, the request was near perfect. Breakker gains unstoppable muscle. Punk faces impossible odds, and the Vision strengthens its stranglehold on the WWE landscape. But the refusal threw that entire plan into disarray. Now we ask, why did Lesnar reject the offer? Several theories circulate among insiders and fans, each one carrying different implications. The first theory suggests that Lesnar's choice was rooted in protecting his legacy. Brock has reached a point in his career where he doesn't need factions or alliances. Maybe he is tired of faction warfare. Maybe he sees petty backstage politics as beneath him. The Beast incarnate may be asserting that he stands alone, answers to no one, and refuses to become anyone's backup. If so, this silence becomes a statement. He won't be weaponized by anyone, not even Heyman. Another theory points to distrust. The Vision is new, untested, and dangerously unstable. Lesnar has seen factions rise and crumble, and maybe he sensed cracks forming within Breakker and Reed's dynamic. Why attach himself to something that might implode spectacularly? Why risk tethering his name, one of the biggest in WWE history, to a project that still hasn't proven long-term viability? Yet another theory rests on long-term booking. WWE creative could be intentionally preserving Lesnar's unpredictability. Keeping him disengaged now leaves massive avenues open for the future. He could end up feuding with Punk. He could clash with Breakker. He could even turn on Heyman or become a wildcard force who disrupts the Vision at critical moments. A fourth theory is the story crafting angle. Perhaps this refusal is setting up a massive swerve later. Maybe Lesnar intervenes at a bigger moment, when the stakes are higher and when the shock value is strongest. No matter which theory is accurate, the outcome is the same. This refusal was a calculated move, whether by Lesnar, Heyman, or WWE writers. And that calculation triggers ripple effects across every major character connected to this moment. For Breakker, Lesnar's refusal is either a devastating setback or a necessary hurdle. Without Lesnar backing him, Breakker must prove he can stand toe-to-toe with Punk without relying on outside muscle. If he falters, the Vision loses credibility and Breakker's ascent could stumble. But if he succeeds, he emerges stronger, proven, and respected. For CM Punk, the refusal is a psychological triumph. He walks into conflict knowing the Beast isn't lurking behind Breakker. He gains crowd support simply from being the man who stands tall even when factions scheme behind him. Punk thrives on moral high ground, and this gives him a powerful narrative advantage. For Heyman and the Vision, this refusal plants seeds of doubt. If Heyman can't control Lesnar, his most famous and fearsome client, and can't convince him to support the faction, fans may begin questioning the foundation of the Vision. A faction is only as strong as the loyalty within it, and this public crack could be the beginning of a splinter. On a bigger scale, this entire